Hello, I'm Matt Viego, and I'm about to become your new fantasy football champion. Now, in honor of accepting this very prestigious award, there are quite a few people that I need to thank. In fact, I've got a list. First off, I have to thank Mike Roberts. He set up this league. Without him, there would be no way that I could completely demolish all of you and steal all your money. Next up is Matt Ryan. I'd like to thank Matt Ryan for pretty much just being my whole entire team. We went through some tough times, some tough games, but he pulled out the 40-pointers and ensured victory every time. Next is a good one, Jake Barton. I'd like to thank Jake for having the single worst fantasy football draft in history. Taking Roy Halou in the 3rd round was the dumbest pick anyone could have ever chosen. Good job, Jake. I thank you. Next up, Andy Rubrits. Now, Andy's a funny story, okay? He had a pretty solid draft, but then he decided it'd be a good idea to take all of his good players and trade them to John Siprich. Which brings me to the next person I'm thanking, John Siprich. John, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank you for having the undoubtedly best team in the whole league and then losing in the playoffs to Zach Simpson by 1 point. You have been dethroned. And that game between John and Simpson brings me to the next person I need to thank, Zachary Simpson. Zach and I had a good game in the semifinals. But it just so happens that I beat him and went to the championship. That's right, you heard it. I beat Zach Simpson in the semifinals. And there are 3 people in particular that I need to thank for this. First off, Doug Martin. Thank you for only having 2 points that game. That really helped ensure my victory. Next up, Michael Crabtree. Michael, I really enjoyed watching your game where you had 2 touchdowns to basically even it up with Simpson and I. And last but not least, who can forget this guy? Chris Johnson. Chris, thank you so very much for having that 94-yard touchdown run to ensure the win against Zachary whatever his name is, Simpson. How's it feel? I was questioning thanking this guy, but, you have to thank him. Gage Hollingshead. Gage, I want to thank you for having the worst team I have ever seen in my whole life. How'd your quarterback do last week? -3 points? Round of applause, everybody. Gage Hollingshead, worst team in the league. And last but not least, I have to thank an extremely important person. Without him, I could have never, ever have gotten to the championship. And that's myself. Me and my knowledge and luck brought me all the way to the championship and won it. So, as this season has closed, I'd like to just let you all know that the reign of Matt Viego has begun. And it's going to be a long, long reign that never ends. Year after year, I will win. So be scared for next year, fellas. It's going to be a fun one.